All right, House is still here. We're going to talk about some $1 million picks. You weren't on the last 2 weeks, but only because we did 4.5 hours of basketball content together 2 weeks ago. So we gave you a break that 1 week. Last week, I was in town with all the LA dudes. Now we're back. We held the fort. We're only somehow only won $15,000 last week, even though I thought I nailed the week. Up 178 for the year.
Bang.
I think this week's really hard. There's only a couple that I liked, but give me your favorite coming out of the gate. I want to talk about a bunch of games. What was your favorite game of all of them?
It's a tease. I mean, this week has incredible tease legs.
Up properly. This is tease week. There's teases. There's Bills minus 6, Eagles minus 7.5, Bengals minus 8.5, Chiefs minus 8.5. There's some going the other way teases. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the Chiefs. Tease them down to 2.5 home against Tampa
on
a Monday night. I love Philly. I really think that Philly is going to be coming on here, teasing them from 7.5 down to 1.5. I think it's very viable to tease Cleveland up from 1.5 to 7.5 because are the Chargers going to win by margin in Cleveland? I don't think so. And then the Saints, we'll see what the answer is at quarterback. I wouldn't recommend doing anything with them if Rattler is the quarterback, but all of the signs seem to be pointing at Derek Carr. And if Derek Carr is the quarterback, then we can't continue to miss out on this opportunity of winning money at Carolina's expense. We can figure out how to do it. It could be a tease. It could be team total stuff.
Might have to be a
first halves.
I did this last week where I crossed my fingers that Marcus Mariota was going to be the DC quarterback. And then, of course, it's like, Jaden Daniels is going to play. All of a sudden, I didn't have Mariota against that Bears defense. So you mentioned the Eagles, and they beat the Bengals pretty handily last week. And for me, part of it was I actually took the Bengals in that game, but I thought I was getting T. Higgins, and I thought they'd be able to throw on them all game with Jason Higgins, and Higgins doesn't play. But that Eagles game might have been more impressive than maybe I gave it credit for in the moment because I was so mad about the Higgins thing. Maybe the Eagles are pretty good. I feel like we've also been down this road before where it's time to trust the Eagles, and then they completely kick you in the nuts. But as we talked about with Danny, it just feels like this Jag season's over. That trade they made, traded their left tackle. I know he wasn't playing that great, but that was just really weird. They're like, we got some other guys. Nobody has other guys sitting on the bench to play left tackle. That's crazy. Brian Thomas is hurt. Might not be able to play. ETN's been hurt the whole season. And it
Kirk
just
is
feels
out.
like, Kirk's done for the year. It just feels like the Eagles in a tease at home feels pretty safe to me. They're going to be able to run. Maybe Peterson coming back there. This will be like the nail in the coffin for that. So I'm with you on that. And then Chiefs Bucks was the other one there. It's that number is 8.5 still, so you can get it to 2.5. The Bucks with no Godwin, no Evans last week. Mayfield was still moving the ball because who he was playing, but the receivers aren't the same. Their defense is awful. And I just don't see, this is going to be the team that ends KC's unbeaten season on a Monday night? I don't see it.
No. And remember, the difference between Baker under pressure and Baker not under pressure, Atlanta has the worst pass rush in the entire NFL. And so Baker was, trying to wheel and deal as best he could. They were competitive for as long as he could keep them in there. This Chiefs thing is a radically different animal.
Yeah, I agree. And their defense is bad. Tampa's D. You can move the ball on them. You can do whatever. All the advanced stats on them are bad. All right, so we have two. I don't trust the Bengals against the Raiders. That was another one I really wanted to put in, but I don't know what's going to happen with Higgins. The Raiders feel like they're good for one stupid, weird, out of nowhere win every 8 weeks. They already had one against Baltimore. They're kind of due. I think that's a stay away. The Bills against the Dolphins is a possible tease. So they killed them in week 2, even before Tua got hurt. They have a much better team. Dolphins have had a bunch of injuries already, especially on defense. And yet something's holding me back on it. Is this a kitchen sink game for the Dolphins? They're not kind of out of the playoffs yet. Somebody's going to make the playoffs at 9-8 in the AFC. They're not done yet.
It probably is a kitchen sink game for the Dolphins, but if Dopey McDaniel, the disc jockey, is standing at the sink, I don't want any part of it. The Bills own the Dolphins. JJ said so on our East Coast Bias program. Tua is 1-7 against the Bills. The Bills just scheme against the Dolphins wonderfully, and the Dolphins don't have any answer for it. And it, we'll see. They had no pass rush whatsoever. The Dolphins they were up 10 points against the Cardinals at home and could not get that across the goal line. That's diabolical. How bad that is, that you can't hold on. But they couldn't get any pass rush because what's his name, Seilert, is hurt, and I don't know if he's going to be back this week. That's the wrong set of circumstances to go up to Buffalo and try and the line has gone from 6.5 down to 5.5. So some folks are interested in Miami. I am not one of the people interested in Miami, and I'm just fine with Buffalo as a money line leg. I don't want to tease, through the zero, really. There's no value there, but, I think the Bills are going to handle their business.
So if we're looking at teases, it's Eagles. Maybe it's just Eagles and Chiefs, and that's it.
That'd be fine. I'd be perfectly satisfied with that.
Some maybe bets. The Colts we talked about earlier, plus 5.5 against the Vikings. And that feels like that should be a 3-point game. But I also, as I said earlier, like the Flacco going against Flores and that Vikings D. Also, the Vikings 2 losses in a row, 10 days rest. People seem to think, now that Flacco's in there with the Colts, everything's going to be fine. But something's telling me to stay away from this. But I just want to make sure you felt the same way.
Yeah, the back door is open, and that's the reason to be nervous. And so, some smart people I've seen and heard folks making a good argument, a compelling argument for taking Minnesota on the first half line, which I kind of like. It's like around 3 or so for them to cover, whatever, 3.5 maybe. I'm totally fine with that idea, like Minnesota coming in after that loss against the Rams with that extra time against this Colts team that, is trying to save its season. But Minnesota showing again, like we're class. We're a class team in the first half, and then in the second half, Flacco does some of the stuff that Flacco does. So that would be a reason to stay away from the whole game. But yeah,
the Bears are plus 1.5 in Arizona, and I know they might be on your DMB list, but
they are.
I was really impressed by their defense. The defensive stats with them are great. Like they're a top 6 or 7 defense by any calculation at this point. And Arizona as a favorite, just in general, Arizona with any hint of prosperity makes me nervous. Arizona's 4-4. They barely beat the Chargers that one time, right?
Yeah.
The Chargers really should have won that game, right? So that just immediately makes them 3-5. They had that weird comeback against Miami that they somehow won the game. I had taken that off of TV, so I'm just not sure they feel like a 4-4 team to me. So just staring at it going, I'm trying to talk myself into the Bears, but I think you're right. I think they're a DMB.
Yeah, their wins, they have three wins in their last 4 games, are 3-1. Again, they beat the 49ers by 1 point. They beat the Chargers by 2 points, and they beat the Dolphins by 1 point. And they got smacked by the Packers. They got smashed by the Bills. Well, the Bills actually did it in the second half, but in any event, they're too inconsistent. I just can't, under any circumstances, have anything to do with that Bears coaching staff, because they have shown us without any hesitation or reservation, they will snatch defeat right the F out of the jaws of victory. They will do it.
I heard that Eberflus was working a little background for the Yankees during the World Series about base running and defense.
It's amazing.
Giving them some tips. He was an unpaid consultant.
I took a picture of all of the errors and the base running miscues and all of that, and I thought long and hard about sending it to the group text to JJ last night, and I didn't do it because I love JJ. I'm going to save it for this weekend. I'm definitely going to send it.
The Yankee fans moved into a weird thing where they immediately were like, I knew this was going to happen. And just they did the finger pointing thing. And it's like, you definitely didn't know it was going to happen when Judge homered in the first inning and you're up 2-0. And you were like, that's right, man. Our house. We're not going down here. Browns, so Chargers, funny. Browns plus 1.5 at home against the Chargers. And I like the Browns a lot more before the defensive injuries. I think I've landed as a stay away on this one.
I'm with you on it. It'll be fun. I'm going to root for the Browns. It will be a good measuring tape game for the Chargers, because if the Chargers are legit, then they better go.
They should be able to move the ball in this game, even though the Browns are on. Yeah, right. I'm with you. Lions Packers. Packers are plus 2.5 at home.
Oh, 2.5.
Plus 2.5. Looks like Jordan Love's playing.
So because it was 3.5 yesterday. So the line is moving in the direction of like we're feeling stronger about the idea that Jordan Love's going to play.
I think he's going to play. That's my take. Knowing nothing and having no contacts in the Packers organization.
Well, and all the teams lie now. They wait until they try and get advantages, as they should. But like we really don't know who's playing in any games until 12:55 on Sunday.
I will say this: I think we have a better sense now on the Thursday, Friday with the practice and what's released on what feels doable and not doable. Like even the Daniels thing last week. On Thursday, it was like, all right, he's not written off yet, and they're not saying he's out, which makes me think he's probably going to play. You just have to, you're basically turning into Matlock trying to figure it out.
It's true, but like, who had Puka and Cooper playing, right?
Right. That's true. So Lions on grass is, the Lions on grass outdoors would be the fear. The counter would be you're getting the Lions under a field goal and they're the best team in the league. And why wouldn't you just take that? They're going to run the ball all over Green Bay and do some play action stuff. And the counter to that would be, well, no Jamison Williams, take out St. Brown. Packers have a good secondary. To me, it's a stay away. I want to watch it. I don't think I need money on it, or I can go Packers in a tease.
Yeah. I'm playing Packers money line, Packers in a tease. Look at the weather forecast. Precipitation right now, high of 52 degrees, winds 15 miles an hour or more. Precipitation likelihood 60% or higher at game time. You know who doesn't like playing in those weather conditions? Jared effing Goff. You know whose first outdoor game of the NFL season is this coming Sunday, Bill Simmons? Jared effing Goff. You know what the numbers show about Jared Goff in outdoor games? That's one thing. I think he's around a 500 quarterback. All of his numbers are dramatically lower in terms of completion percentages, accuracy, all that kind of advanced stuff. Put some precipitation in the mix. Put some adverse weather conditions into the mix. Add that filter to the Jared Goff scenario, and then see. Now, look, one could make a very compelling case. I would listen to it, of Detroit trying to run the ball, because they have a multi-headed rush attack and they have an extraordinary offensive line. And if you want to make that case, I'll listen and not dismiss it out of hand. But the Lions are not going to be able to put pressure on Jordan Love and the Packers. That the Hutchinson thing is really going to be felt this week.
So
in my humble opinion,
you're going bad weather. Goff outdoors with some things going against him. Lambeau, crazy crowd. Maybe they stuff the Lions run a little bit.
Yeah.
Lack of a second receiver. All right.
I'm just talking it. I just want to make sure the considerations are out there.
I hate going against the Lions, but
I understand. They have the best against the spread record of any team in the last 3 years.
We got the
tease could be the way. Tease the pack up. Tease the pack up.
Packers minus 2.5 is plus 148.
Ooh. Wait, what? Packers minus 2.5 is plus 148?
Yeah.
I want it to be more than that.
Okay.
I want a better price for that.
Straight money line is plus 124.
Yeah. Okay.
To me, if the weather's going to be super weird and wonky, the over/under is out for me.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not in here trying to argue for a total one way or the other. I think the Packers tease 2.5 up to 8.5, even though we know that Detroit's capable of winning by margin. Not in these kind of matchups. Not in this matchup. It all depends on Love. Obviously, things can change, but if Love is a go, I like the Packers.
Well, we don't know if Love is a go, which would be a reason to maybe not do anything with this game. What if they decide on Sunday that he's not playing and Malik Willis is somehow in our lives?
Then we lose money. That's what happens.
Yeah, all right.
Although Malik Willis, in his limited sample size, LaFleur is incredible. Let's just give him some flowers so that he hears it.
Broncos are plus 8.5 in Baltimore. Baltimore is still having some cornerback health issues. Sean Payton.
I heard
there's back doors are always open in Baltimore.
Lord have mercy. The back door is always open.
Kind of like the Broncos.
Here's the issue. I do think Marlon Humphrey's back. I do think the backup for him that also missed last week is back as well. And even with the issues that Baltimore has on defense, the idea of Bo Nix going into Baltimore, and the thing that Denver has done with great success is throw the ball. That kid in his last 6 games has at least 4 games over 200 yards passing.
Yeah.
Against the Panthers. Now again, the Panthers are D League. That's not a legit measuring stick. But they went away from the run. Neither one of their running backs, I think, got to even 50 yards against the Panthers. They're going to have to try and establish the run against Baltimore, except for Baltimore's the best run defense in the league. And then I do think that even with what we've seen out of Baltimore in terms of its secondary, the vulnerabilities there, I don't know, man. I'm not under any circumstances advocating laying 8.5 because we just can't trust Baltimore to keep that door shut in the fourth quarter. But that's another great teaser. 8.5 down to 2.5 for Baltimore. You don't like that?
What if I gave you Denver up to 11.5 with the over adjusted at 38.5? And that was plus 103.
I love the over. The over part of it is not an issue for me. Baltimore can win by margin. Baltimore, that's the best offense. I think their offense is better this year than last year. And they had that offense last year made Lamar an MVP. Right. And it's better this year because they have Derrick Henry.
We disagree, and I'm crossing it off.
Okay.
I think both of us could be right. I do like Sean Payton against that Ravens team. I also could see the Ravens just running all over them, and the Broncos have had an easy schedule, and you'd be like, God damn it, why didn't I realize this was going to happen? All right, my 2 favorites. And I'm probably the Falcons-Cowboys game, which now is Falcons -3.
Oh, it's moving.
Moved from -2.5 to -3. And I love the Falcons because I think Dallas sucks.
Wow.
I think they stink.
Wow.
And yet, this is the perfect team for them to play because Atlanta doesn't have a pass rush.
Exactly.
And Dak can just throw the ball basically every down.
He can.
And hang in the game.
He can.
I still think the Falcons are going to win.
Okay.
But I also think we're going to have a lot of points. And my question is could you do some chicanery with this one? Where do you stand on the game, first of all?
I agree with the latter half of your thesis. I do think that the Cowboys are going to move the ball. And there is, with Dakota, with Dak as quarterback coming off of a loss, they're very good as underdogs, and they're good as road underdogs. His record as a dog coming off of a loss is like in the 60% range under some of these sort of circumstances that we're measuring and are relevant to this. The fact that Atlanta can't get home with a pass rush at all, and here's the concern I would have if you wagered on Atlanta. We watched Dallas go into Pittsburgh on a Sunday night game, and Pittsburgh really couldn't get home at all. And Dak
they had some injuries.
They did. Dak picked that defense apart, and it was with a bunch of dudes that coming into that game. Tolbert had the game-winning touchdown with incredible finger strength. Like, Turpin factored into that. The second string tight end. I just think that it's a susceptible spot. I do like the idea of points in this game, though, because Cousins and these weapons really have been meshing.
Well, what if I gave you what adjusted over under would excite you?
What do you mean in terms of a total?
Yeah, like what if I was able to get this to 45.5?
I mean, I'm fine with that over. I don't have any issue with that over.
Because you could do a little adjusted Dallas plus 7.5 with the over of 45.5.
Okay.
And that's basically even odds, minus 108.
Yeah, good.
And then we root for points.
Right.
And Dallas to hang around.
Love it. That's a good one.
The thing that worries me is Atlanta running the ball on them. And just running the fucking shit out of the ball. And Dallas never has the ball because Atlanta always has the ball.
Fair enough.
But I think Dallas is going to throw it. I had that Pittsburgh game in my head too. If you give Dak time, he just moves the he moves the chains. He finds dudes, and that's kind of what you have to do against Atlanta. That's what everybody that's beaten them is, just throwing the ball on them and move the ball down the field on them. All right, so Dallas plus 7.5. Maybe I could get that over under to. I wonder if I could.
You could do a basic tease. Again, you're not supposed to tease totals, but if you tease Dallas up to 9 and that total down to 46.5, 45.5.
Yeah.
Dallas
maybe we
plus
do that.
9. That's a minus 120 tease. It's not the same price as the price that you have at 7.5. That's even odds. That's a better price.
Yeah. So we'll do that.
Okay.
So Dallas 7.5, and then we get to root for Dallas and get mad if they fuck us.
Who will send mad text to Cuz and to Raheem
with the over of 45.5. And that's minus 108.
Great.
Right,
better
that's
than
a good one.
Yeah.
And then we love the Rams against the Seahawks. We need to talk that one out.
I don't know. I mean, it's Cooper Kupp these nuts on the field, like an amazing opportunity for this Rams team with their offensive line. And Seattle's down. The vibes are bad. You heard Danny.
Yeah, you can see they've lost 4 of their last 5. Their defense is 29th against the run. And this feels very Ramsey to
Puka me. and Kupp these nuts. I love that combo.
I also like Stafford as a road QB.
As do I.
Not giving a shit about anything.
Not.
All right. And we're staying away from the Bears.
That's my humble opinion. Dream is one of his favorite bets. I understand the thesis. I just can't be in the situation of needing the Bears to close out a game and watching those dunderheads. I mean, it like took miraculous moronics for Chicago to give that game away. The handoff to the offensive lineman. Seriously, one of the dumbest plays of the decade. I want Chicago to lose for the rest of the season so that I can buy them to win the Super Bowl next year when Mike Vrabel is the quarterback. I mean, the coach. When Mike Vrabel comes in with his coaching staff, with the talent that the Bears have on both sides of the ball, that team is talented. But those big dummies, and the players hold their coaches in contempt. It was hilarious. One of my favorite undercurrents of Hard Knocks this season was Dum Eberflus making Caleb Williams go sit with him in his office and act like they're having one-on-one conversations. And Caleb Williams could barely hide his disdain for dummy Eberflus. I mean, I just enjoyed it so much, but here we are. Those chickens have come home to roost. He'll be a fine defensive coordinator somewhere, by the way. Good defense.
So we only have $3 million picks this week.
Oh.
I think that's fine.
Okay. I'm fine. If you're fine, I'm fine.
Yeah. I don't really love the week. And I think you get mistakes with some of this stuff when you start overcompensating and grabbing stuff. Yeah, we disagreed on a bunch of stuff, which I think is usually a bad sign. I do wish the Tennessee line was like 2.5 because I would take them against the Pats.
I kind of like the Pats.
I can't imagine the Pats would win 2 games in a row.
I kind of like the Pats.
Well, we'll see if Drake May plays or not. All right.
Right.
It's time. The $1 million picks for week 9. We won $15,000 last week. And now we are up for the season, $178,000. Not bad after 8 weeks.
Great job.
We're scaling back a little this week. We're not going to get to $1 million. We are betting $200,000 on the following games. The Rams plus 1.5 in Seattle. We're bullish on the Rams in a whole bunch of different ways. The Rams for the division, 5-1, intriguing little flyer if you want to take it. Rams for the playoffs plus 310. The Cup Puka, Stafford, Kyron Williams, not Kieran.
Kyron
Williams.
Kyrie, like Kyron, like Kyrie.
Williams. Kyron.
The line's minus 1.5.
Speech dyslexia.
The line's minus 1.5. You said plus 1.5.
The Rams are minus 1.5. That's what I meant.
Right. Yeah.
Rams minus 1.5 against the Seahawks. In Seattle, we're taking them 200,000 on that. It is tease week. We're going to scale it back a tiny bit and just take two games that we love. The Eagles minus 7.5 against the Jags. You know, it's really fun betting against Coach Middleseat. How many more chances are we going to have to get?
Not enough.
Eagles with 6 crappy defenses coming up here. Shout out to DeBundo for that one. But Jalen Hurts, 20-1 MVP. We're looking at that one. Anyway, Eagles minus 7.5. Tease them down 6 points with the Chiefs on Monday night against a terrible Tampa defense and poor Baker Mayfield, who doesn't have Godwin or Mike Evans, teasing them for minus 8.5, 6 points. Eagles, Chiefs both have to win 200 on that. And then last but not least, this we can't lose either way because this is fake money. And if the Cowboys F us, then we just get to send angry text to Cousin Sal. Cowboys plus 7.5 parlayed with the over. 45.5 in Atlanta. We expect a lot of points in this game. That is minus 108. Do you want to do an anytime touchdown scorer bet too? Is there anybody you like?
I mean, Derrick Henry every week. What is it? Minus 300 for him to score a touchdown this week against Denver. It's probably some preposterous number, but
well, we won't put money on that, but that'll be our recommendation. Derrick Henry. Those are the $1 million picks for week 9.